we have an epidemic in this community where the adults aren't voting. So now, even though some adults feel that their vote doesn't matter, why is it important that these kids learn the habit of voting anyway at this age?
You know, whether you're in kindergarten or you're a senior citizen, what's important about the voting process is that it makes a difference. And so if a kindergarten or first grader is voting for someone that they believe represents their best interest, that's what the whole voting process is all about as an adult. And those first graders and kindergartners, they listened to the platforms that were presented by the two individuals that ran, and they voted for the person that thought would best represent the Urban League. And that's exactly what we want them to do now. And really, more importantly, as they grow into adulthood, understand that their vote means something and that they can make a difference by going to the ballot box.
My next guest, Michelle Chambers. I am so glad you were able to make it here today because last night I was just driving through the hood here and I saw 9 million people over here on Decatur Road. I didn't know what in the world was going on. And I didn't look around and see if you were out there, but I just know that the Democrats are doing a lot going on here. Right. So I understand that you voted here recently. And what was that experience like? Was a lot of people there? What was going on?
It was a great experience. It took 3 hours, which is okay with me because I value voting. But it was a 3-hour wait. I voted on the first day of early voting at the Allen County Libraries. There's about 6 different libraries that you can go to. The line was out the door. It was a mix of people, all nationalities, ages, male and female alike. But it was a 3-hour wait.
You know, I went downtown twice, and I said, I'm not going to, this is crazy. So I waited until the library branches opened and started voting. I went there, my God. So I just had a good time. I should have had a camera with me to talk with the people that was there. Mm-hmm. But in years past, I could walk in and walk back out right quick. What's different now?
I believe that people are concerned. Whether you're a Democrat that's concerned or a Republican that is concerned. I believe that we have been just overwhelmingly put in a very negative light with this presidential campaign. And I believe that people are voting because they either want to see a completely different change in the office or they're terrified at the thought of the potential Republican presidential candidate Trump getting in office.
Well, hopefully this type of, for the longest time we've been talking about voter apathy. And even right now, a lot of black leaders, scholars are saying, don't vote. They're talking about, I guess it's a protest vote, or they're saying that the vote doesn't make any difference. How much truth is in that, and is that a dangerous precedent to be setting?
Personally, I think that's a very dangerous precedent to set for anyone, and specifically for millennials, young individuals who are just turning 18 and have the ability to vote. How dare anyone, a scholar specifically, or a learned person, tell anybody not to vote? When the blood of our ancestors run down deep in the United States of America who died for the opportunity for us to vote. That just drives me insane when people say don't vote, but you're continuously complaining. You can't be part of the change if you're not participating in the process. Is the process somewhat flawed? Is it challenging? Yes it is, but you have challenges in life and you have the constitutional right to vote. So every person in the United States of America who is a citizen should absolutely vote.
Well, not knowing that, of course we haven't seen the stats yet to see what percentages came out to vote, but the Fort Wayne Urban League, we touched on this here a few years back. They had a program to teach kids on voter education, the importance of voting and that type of a thing. And they were using kindergarten, first, second grade kids. As a matter of fact, the young man that began to show off, he was one of the ones who were, voting. And there's been a lot of debate about that's good, but it doesn't really mean anything to show this kindergarten kid or first grader what it's like to put a ballot in a little box here. Why is that important to do it at that type of age?
Because our children are sponges. You learn what you were taught. If you're teaching a kindergartner how to vote, that will stick with them, believe me, for a lifetime. You start with your children at a very young age, educating them, and eventually they'll make their own decisions on whether they want to vote or not, but they have that foundation. It's very important that we build strong foundations in our children and feed into them and educate them as much as we can. And when they become young adults, they will eventually make their own mind. But there's nothing wrong with feeding into the foundation of a child. I mean, I'm in politics today because I've been in politics all my life. I was my 6th grade class president, my 8th grade class president, my senior high school class president. I've always been involved in politics. I had a family, we believed in reading the paper, we believed in staying abreast of current affairs, and we believed in serving our community. And that's because I was around adults who were doing the same thing. So why would you not share with our children about the voting process and what that means? Because if you're properly educating children, you're letting them know what it took, specifically if you're dealing with African American children, to even get the right to vote. So there's a historical process behind teaching a child about voting and going to the ballot and making your vote count.
So you said 6th grade. Who did that to you?
Well, my grandfather was always active in the community. My family is just a family that has always been active. We've never been complacent in our family. We've always been involved. We've always been engaged. So it came from my early stages from my family. And then as I matured as an adult and worked in public service, I always worked with politicians, mayors, council people, and individuals of that nature who were serving in the community.
You know, now what are you all doing now to attract high school students and younger adults to get involved with the party? What do you have any outreach programs?
Well, personally, I'm continuously always working with youth. I had the opportunity specifically to work with Danita Washington's organization, Fort Wayne Girls Rock. Myself and Councilwoman Sharon Tucker, we actually did a mock election for young girls in middle school and high school. We educated them on the process of voting, why it's important to vote. It was a nonpartisan voting situation, but we actually had voting machines there. And they voted. It was a simple question. It was just a single question about social media. What's more popular, Twitter or Snapchat? But they stood in the booth. They stood there. They pushed the button. We gave them the results. Those girls will forever remember that day because it was interactive and they understood the power of their vote. So continuously working with our youth in the community. Anytime I can feed into and speak with a young person and let them know the importance of voting, I do. And I just do that through various activities and working with local nonprofits.
You know, it's kind of tricky, but looking back over the past few primaries, going back to the late 90s, it seems as though, and I'm accurate on this, that black candidates running for mayor, more blacks have run for mayor under the Republican banner than the Democratic banner. And why is that? I mean, I know Rick Stevenson ran this last time, but I've always wanted to know why is that, and why is that? I mean, I know that there's equal opportunity for everyone, correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, personally, I don't know of an individual personally who switched parties to run under, say they were Democratic and ran.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, I don't know what parties they were. I'm just saying that just from me being around, observing that, I mean, it hadn't been a whole lot, but it hadn't been a whole lot running for mayor anyway.
Right. So are you asking me why would a black person run as a Republican for mayor?
I'm asking why have they gone Republican and not approached the Democratic side? I mean, I don't know what the answer.
Well, customarily, a person chooses their party affiliation because it lines up with their moral convictions, what they believe in, and what their expectations are of a political party. That's how I made my decision. I know that I come from a family of Democrats. No one in my family that I'm aware of is a Republican, you know. But when I turned 18 and as I went to college and I learned more, the Democratic Party just is in line to what I need and what my expectations are out of my political party.
What are your ambitions?
Well, eventually, I mean, I don't know, you remember that I did run for city council at large, had a very vigorous race, a close race, outpaced many people, Republican and Democrats alike. I didn't get the win, but I will run again. We'll see where the climate is and what makes sense for me at that time, but I will be running again for
But,
office.
you know, I mean, I know you put forth a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and you lost, but you didn't stop.
No, this is public services. I am a public servant. I want to serve my community to the best of my ability. You don't run for office to, you know, for the money. You don't run for office just because it's something to do. You have to be passionate about running for office and holding a position. You know, you have a lot of people who have negative opinions about politicians, but you're basically laying yourself on a sword when you decide to run for public office, because you have to meet the needs of the constituents, you know, and that's a very challenging task. But it's a passion and it is a desire to serve. You want to be a servant leader within the community. And I run specifically right here in Fort Wayne because we lack diversity in our government, in our county council, our city council. When you lack diversity, you lack different ideas, approaches. There's definitely a part of the community that may be underserved. See, if you don't have diversity at the table, how can you be a change maker? You can have a very one-sided view because it's just one type of individual sitting at that table. We need a diverse community of politicians, which reflects Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne is not just a European Anglo-Saxon community. You have multiple cultures and multiple people living here. This is now literally Middle America melting pot. And I believe that we should have representation at the table that's reflective of our city.
Okay, I have one more question here, but get our next video ready to go. And, you know, why, you know, what, when you're talking to younger people, what do you try to tap on in them to let them know that this might really be for them? I mean, what kind of traits or talents do they need to know that they already have to get involved in this kind of work? I mean, what's inside of a person that a political party can touch on and pull out?
Well, customarily, when I see children who are taking initiative or young adults, they're exhibiting leadership abilities. Today I was at the Boys and Girls Club, you know, women's luncheon, and there was a phenomenal young lady there who had such grace and had the ability to capture an audience already as a senior in high school. That's a young lady that I went up to and I hugged, and I just fed a little wisdom into her and just encouraged her to continue on her path of what she's doing right now. So as adults, any time that you see a young adult, a young person that is exhibiting leadership abilities, you should always feed into them. Take a moment, give them your number, share information with them, and connect them with, you know, people that could help them continue on their path. That's what happened to me. People saw my natural ability to be a leader and just continue to connect me and believe in me and believe in my walk and my desire to serve and lead.
Fantastic. Michelle,
it's a
thank you very
pleasure.
much.
Thank you. Welcome back.
And we want to go ahead and get ready for the next clip.